Brought to you by WikiVidi documentaries. José Mourinho. José Mário dos Santos Mourinho Félix, GOIH, known as José Mourinho, is a Portuguese football manager and former football player. He is the manager of Premier League club Manchester United. He is regarded by a number of players, coaches, and commentators as one of the greatest and most successful managers in the world. In 2015, Mourinho was named Portuguese Coach of the Century by the Portuguese Football Federation. In 2017, Mourinho was named among the 10 greatest coaches since the foundation of UEFA in 1954. In the same year, he also became the first coach to have spent more than £1 billion on transfers. Mourinho began his involvement in professional football as a player in the Portuguese Second Division. He studied sports science in Technical University of Lisbon and attended coaching courses in Britain. In Lisbon, he worked as a physical education teacher and had spells working as a youth team coach, a scout, and an assistant manager. In the early 1990s, he became an interpreter for Sir Bobby Robson at Sporting CP and Porto in Portugal, and Barcelona in Spain. He remained at the Catalonian club working with Robson's successor, Louis van Gaal. Mourinho impressed with brief, but successful managerial periods at Benfica and União de Leiria, taking the latter to their highest-ever league finish. He returned to Porto in early 2002 as head coach, winning the Primeira Liga, Taça de Portugal, and UEFA Cup in 2003. In the next season, Mourinho guided the team to victory in the Supertaça Cândido de Oliveira, to the top of the league for a second time, and won the highest honor in European club football, the UEFA Champions League. Mourinho moved to Chelsea the following year and won the Premier League title with a record 95 points, the club's first league title in 50 years, and the League Cup in his first season. In his second year, Chelsea retained the Premier League, and in 2006-07 he took the club to an FA Cup and League Cup double. Mourinho left Chelsea in September 2007, amidst reports of a rift with club owner Roman Abramovich. In 2008, Mourinho moved to Leiria, a club internazionale. Within 3 months he had won his first Italian honor, the Supercoppa Italiana, and completed the season by winning the Serie A title. In 2009-10, Inter became the first Italian club to win the treble of Serie A, Coppa Italia and the Champions League, also the first time Inter had won the latter competition since 1965. He is one of only 5 coaches to have won the European Cup with 2 different teams, along with Ernst Happel, Ottmar Hitzfeld, Jupp Heynckes, and Carlo Ancelotti. He won the first ever FIFA World Coach of the Year award in 2010. He then signed with Real Madrid in 2010, winning the Copa del Rey in his first season. The following year, he won the La Liga and became the 5th coach, after Tomislav Ivic, Ernst Happel, Giovanni Trapattoni and Eric Gerrez, to have won league titles in at least 4 different countries, Portugal, England, Italy, and Spain. After leaving Madrid in June 2013, Mourinho returned to England to manage Chelsea for a second spell, during which they won another league championship, but was sacked on the 17th of December 2015. After a poor run of results left Chelsea just outside the relegation zone. Following several months out of the game after losing his job at Chelsea, for the second time, Mourinho was confirmed as the new manager of Manchester United on the 27th of May 2016. Due to his tactical knowledge, charismatic, but also very controversial, personality, and what his opponents regard as emphasis on getting results over playing beautiful football, he has drawn comparisons, by both admirers and critics, with Argentine manager Julenio Herrera. Early life and education. Mourinho was born in 1963 to a large middle-class family in Setúbal, Portugal, the son of José Manuel Mourinho Félix, who was known by the name Félix Mourinho, and wife Maria Julia Carajola dos Santos. His father played football professionally for Os Belenenses and Vitória de Setúbal, earning 1 cap for Portugal in the course of his career. His mother was a primary school teacher, from an affluent background. Her uncle funded the construction of the Vitória de Setúbal football stadium. The fall of Antonio de Oliveira Salazar's Estado Novo regime in April 1974, however, led to the family losing all but a single property in nearby Palmela. Mourinho wanted to follow in his father's footsteps and joined the Belenenses youth team. Graduating to the senior level, he played at Rio Avenue, Belenenses, and Sesimbra. He lacked the requisite pace and power to become a professional and chose to focus on becoming a football coach instead. His mother enrolled him in a business school, but Mourinho dropped out on his first day, deciding he would rather focus on sport, and chose to attend the Instituto Superior de Educação Física, Technical University of Lisbon, to study sports science. After attending coaching courses held by the English and Scottish football associations, former Scotland manager Andy Roxburgh took note of the young Portuguese's drive and attention to detail. Mourinho sought to redefine the role of coach in football by mixing coaching theory with motivational and psychological techniques. Coaching career. After leaving his job as a school coach, Mourinho looked for a path into professional management in his hometown and became youth team coach at Vitória de Setúbal in the early 1990s. Later he accepted the position of assistant manager at Estrela da Amadora, then was a scout at Overense. Then, in 1992, an opportunity arose to work as a translator for a top foreign coach. Bobby Robson had been appointed as the new manager of Lisbon club Sporting CP and needed a local coach to work as his interpreter. Mourinho began discussing tactics and coaching with Robson in his interpreting role. Robson was sacked by the club in December 1993. When Porto appointed him as their head coach, Mourinho moved with him, continuing to coach and interpret for players at the new club. The Porto team, consisting of players like Lubinko Drulovic, Domingos, Rui Barros, Jorge Costa, and Vitor Bahia, went on to dominate Portuguese football the following years. With Robson as head coach and Mourinho as his assistant, Porto reached the 1993-94 UEFA Champions League semi-finals, and won the 1993-94 Taça de Portugal, the 1994-95 and 1995-96 Portuguese Championship, and the 1994, 1995 and 1996 Portuguese Super Cup, the latter with a 5-0 victory over arch-rivals Benfica, in what proved to be Robson's last game at Porto before moving to Barcelona, earning Robson the nickname Bobby 5-0 in Portugal. Such was the impact of Robson and Mourinho on making Porto a lasting team, that the club managed to claim 3 more consecutive championships after they had left. After 2 years at Porto, the duo moved again, joining Barcelona in 1996. Mourinho and his family moved to the city of Barcelona, and he gradually became a prominent figure of the club's staff by translating at press conferences, planning practice sessions, and helping players through tactical advice and analyses of the opposition. Robson and Mourinho's styles complemented each other. The Englishman favoured an attacking style, while Mourinho covered defensive options, and the Portuguese's love of planning and training combined with Robson's direct man management. The partnership was fruitful, and Barcelona finished the season by winning the European Cup Winners' Cup. Robson moved club the following season, but this time Mourinho did not follow as Barcelona were keen to retain him as assistant manager. The two remained good friends, and Mourinho later reflected on the effect Robson had had upon him. He began working with Robson's successor, Louis van Gaal, and he learned much from the Dutchman's conscientious style. Both assistant and head coach combined their studious approach to the game, and Barcelona won La Liga twice in Van Gaal's first 2 years as coach. Van Gaal saw that his number 2 had the promise to be more than a skilled assistant. He let Mourinho develop his own independent coaching style and entrusted him with the coaching duties of Barcelona B. Van Gaal also let Mourinho take charge of the first team for certain trophies, like the Copa Catalunya, which Mourinho won in 2000. Benfica. The chance to become a top-tier manager arrived in September 2000 when Mourinho moved up from his role as assistant manager at Benfica to replace manager Jupp Heynckes after the 4th week of the Primeira Liga. The Benfica hierarchy wanted to appoint Jesualdo Ferreira as the new assistant coach, but Mourinho refused and picked Carlos Moza, a retired Benfica defender, as his right-hand man instead. Mourinho was highly critical of Ferreira, whom he had first encountered as his teacher at ISEV, and later lambasted the veteran coach by stating, This could be the story of a donkey who worked for 30 years, but never became a horse. Only weeks after being given the job at Benfica, Mourinho's mentor, Sir Bobby Robson, offered him the assistant manager's role at Newcastle United. Such was Robson's desperation for Mourinho to join him, he offered to step down after 2 years in charge and hand over the reins to Mourinho. Mourinho turned the offer down and said he knew Robson would never step down at the club he loved. Mourinho and Moser proved a popular combination, enjoying a 3-0 win against rival Sporting CP in December. Their reign, however, appeared to be at risk after Benfica's election turned against club president João Vélez Azevedo, and the newly elected Manuel Villarejo said that he would instate ex-Benfica player Tony as his new coach. Although Villarejo had no intention of firing him immediately, Mourinho used the victory over Sporting to test the president's loyalty and he asked for a contract extension. Villarejo refused the demand and Mourinho resigned from his position immediately. He left the club on the 5th of December 2000 after just 9 league games in charge. Upon later reflection, Villarejo rued his poor judgment and expressed his frustration at losing Mourinho. União de Leiria. Mourinho found a new managerial post in July 2001 with União de Leiria. During his time at União de Leiria, the team was on a run contesting places as high as 3rd and 4th. After a 1-1 draw against Santa Clara on the 20th of January 2002, Mourinho recorded 8 matches unbeaten in the league since the 25th of November 2001. And the team was in 4th place, 1 point ahead of Porto, 1 point behind of Benfica and 6 points behind the top of the league table. Mourinho's successes at Leiria did not go unrecognized, and he caught the attention of larger Portuguese clubs. Porto. Mourinho was then hand-picked by Porto to replace Octavio Machado on the 23rd of January 2002. At this time, Porto was in 5th place in the Liga, had been eliminated from the Taça de Portugal and was in last place in the UEFA Champions League second group stage. Mourinho guided the team to 3rd place that year after a strong 15-game run and gave the promise of making Porto champions next year. He quickly identified several key players whom he saw as the backbone of what he believed would be a perfect Porto team: Vitor Baía, Ricardo Carvalho, Costinha, Deco, Dmitry Alenichev, and Helder Postiga. He recalled captain Jorge Costa after a 6-month loan to Charlton Athletic. The signings from other clubs included Nuno Valente and Deliai from União de Leiria, Paulo Ferreira from Vitória de Setúbal, Pedro Emanuel from Boa Vista, and Edgaras Jankauskas and Manaki, who both had been out of contract at Benfica. 2002-03 season. During the pre-season, Mourinho put detailed reports of the team training on the club website. The reports were filled with formal vocabulary, as, for instance, he referred to a 20 km jog as an extended aerobic exercise. While they attracted some scorn for the pretentiousness, others praised the innovation and the application of a more scientific approach to the training methods practiced in Portugal. One of the key aspects in Mourinho-era Porto was his quick wit and the pressuring play, which started at the offensive line, dubbed Pressauertler. The physical and combative abilities of the team's defenders and midfielders allowed Porto to apply pressure from the offensive lines, and forced opponents either to concede the ball or try longer, uncertain passes. In 2003, Mourinho won his first Primeira Liga with a 27-5-2 record, 11 points clear of Benfica, the team he quit 2 years earlier. The total of 86 points out of the possible maximum of 102 was a Portuguese record, until the 2015-16 season won by Benfica, since the rule of 3 points per win was introduced. Mourinho also won the Taça de Portugal, beating former club Leiria in the final, and the UEFA Cup final against Celtic, both in May 2003. 2003-04 season. The following season witnessed further successes. He led Porto to victory in the one-match Portuguese Super Cup, beating Leiria 1-0. They lost, however, the UEFA Super Cup 1-0 to Milan, with Andriy Shevchenko scoring the solitary goal. The team was dominant in the Primeira Liga, and finished the season with a perfect home record, an 8-point advantage, and an unbeaten run that only ended against Gil Vicente. They secured the title 5 weeks before the end of the season. Porto lost the 2004 Taça de Portugal final to Benfica in May 2004, but 2 weeks later, Mourinho won a greater prize, the UEFA Champions League, with a 3-0 win over Monaco in Germany. The club had eliminated Manchester United, Lyon and Deportivo de La Coruña, and their sole defeat of the competition came against Real Madrid in the group round. In the first leg between Manchester United and Porto, United manager Sir Alex Ferguson confronted Mourinho after Roy Keane received a red card for stamping on Vitor Bahia. In the second leg, Porto were on the verge of an away goals defeat when Costina scored a goal with only little more than 30 seconds left for the official 90 minutes time to win the tie, and Mourinho celebrated the goal flamboyantly. Mourinho's Porto win over Ferguson's United foreshadowed a move to the Premier League, managing Chelsea, where the two men would enjoy a competitive but respectful relationship. In 2005, after Chelsea clinched the Premier League title, Ferguson had his players form a guard of honour at Chelsea's next game at Old Trafford, a favour that Mourinho returned in 2007 at Stamford Bridge after Ferguson's squad were confirmed league champions. Liverpool offered their managerial position to Rafael Benitez, and Mourinho instead accepted a large offer from Roman Abramovich and pledged his immediate future to Chelsea. Chelsea. On the 2nd of June 2004, Mourinho moved to Chelsea on a 3-year contract, after a £1.7 million compensation package was agreed with Porto. In a press conference upon joining the English side, Mourinho said, "Please don't call me arrogant, but I'm European champion. And I think I'm a special one," which resulted in the media dubbing him the Special One. Mourinho recruited his backroom staff from Porto, consisting of assistant manager Baltamar Brito, fitness coach Rui Faria, chief scout André Villas-Boas, and goalkeeping coach Silvino Loro. He retained the services of Steve Clarke, a long-serving former player at Chelsea, who had also performed an assistant managerial type role under previous managers at the club. In terms of spending, Mourinho carried on where his predecessor Claudio Ranieri left off, as bankrolled by Roman Abramovich. He spent in excess of £70 million in transfer fees on players such as Thiago from Benfica, Michael Essien from Lyon, Didier Drogba from Marseille, Matteo Kezman from PSV, and Porto Ricardo Carvalho and Paulo Ferreira. 2004-05 season. Under Mourinho, Chelsea built on the potential developed in the previous season. By early December, they were at the top of the Premier League table and had reached the knockout stages of the Champions League. He secured his first trophy by winning the League Cup against Liverpool 3-2 in Cardiff. Towards the end of the match, Mourinho was escorted from the touchline after putting his finger to his mouth in the direction of Liverpool fans, as a response to taunts directed towards him whilst Liverpool were leading. Before the equalising goal, Chelsea met Barcelona in the Champions League round of 16, a highly contested match where the Blues lost away in the first leg 2-1, but advanced on aggregate, winning at home 4-2. Mourinho missed the chance of back-to-back Champions League successes when Chelsea were knocked out of the competition by a controversial goal in the semi-finals by eventual winners Liverpool. Under Mourinho, Chelsea secured their first top-flight domestic title in 50 years, setting a string of English football records in the process, including the most points ever achieved in the Premier League and the fewest goals conceded. 2005-06 season. Chelsea started the next season well. They defeated Arsenal 2-1 to win the 2005 FA Community Shield, and topped the Premier League from the first weekend of the 2005-06 season. Chelsea beat rivals Manchester United 3-0 to win their second consecutive Premier League title, and Mourinho's fourth domestic title in a row. After the presentation of his championship medal, Mourinho threw his medal and blazer into the crowd. He was awarded a second medal within minutes, which he also threw into the crowd. Brought to you by WikiVidi documentaries. Would you like to know more?